just feels so silly. I don't know why. It's one of those days and nights.
Oh, just relax.
Hello and welcome to Channel 36. We have a wonderful show as usual tonight, but a very different and unique and mysterious and eerie type of show because we're going into hypnotism. And on my left here is a wonderful man, very talented, multi-talented, I will say, and he's a hypnotist. And that's what we're going to talk about. Hypnotism, the history, and all that evolves around the mystery of it. Hello, Hal.
Well, hello.
Okay, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very excited about it because people talk about hypnotism. And hypnotism has been around since the Egyptian days. 2,000 years ago they used to do it, right?
You got it right, yes.
Egyptians did it?
Yes.
I heard, I don't know if it's true, can hypnotism help with diseases also? Do you know any truth on that?
To a certain extent, it can help with certain aspects of diseases. I'm copping out.
Okay.
The reason I say to a certain extent, if someone has a broken arm,
okay,
it can't set your arm, but it can relieve the pain of the broken arm. We don't like to call ourselves hypnotists
or healers,
although we are hypnotists. When we study hypnotism, we go through various stages, and one of them is master hypnotist. And then from there, you graduate into becoming a hypnotherapist, which is really different than just being a hypnotist.
Explain a hypnotherapist.
I will.
Okay, please.
Generally, you associate a hypnotist with one who does stage hypnotism. It brings people up and have them cluck like a chicken and stuff like that. I don't do that at all. I don't even know how to do that, and I don't honestly believe that it's entirely on the level.
Well, they did that back in vaudeville days too, and like they do in Vegas too, and everything.
There are ways that they do it, and the people they pick, and so on.
Right.
I don't do that at all. What I do is strictly therapeutic. People can come with pain, and we can relieve the pain. But pain can be a symptom of something other than just the pain. So rather than relieve the pain, what I normally do is give them a letter, my patient, to a doctor, their doctor, to fill out to allow me to relieve the pain.
Oh.
So the doctor is aware that I'm relieving the pain of whatever they may have, because I can't diagnose.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you ever talk to the doctor? I mean, suppose something happens when you're working with somebody and then they accuse you of making it worse. I mean, so.
Well, so far, I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Okay. And
that's never happened. I don't know how I could possibly make anything worse.
Excuse me, you mentioned something to me over the phone.
Yes.
Okay. You said that I can be hypnotized. You could hypnotize me without me not even knowing anything of it.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did. I don't know. I don't know. You were just kidding or something.
Well, then maybe I misspoke, because you can only be hypnotized if you wish to be.
If you want to, like if you're a strong person.
No, it has nothing to do with that at all. Nothing whatsoever. If someone wishes to be hypnotized and gives themselves to it, they can be hypnotized. If someone doesn't wish to be hypnotized, they cannot be hypnotized. However, I want to tell you something. I give lectures occasionally, and I do workshops. I do past life regression and things of that nature. And I usually start off by saying, has anybody here ever been hypnotized? And some people raise their hands and say yes. And then I say, well, I'll bet you a nickel that every one of you has been hypnotized. And I say, what do you mean every one of us has been hypnotized? Well, I give this example, and I'll give it to you right now.
Okay.
Have you ever gotten in your car on the freeway, going from point A to point B, and when you got to point B, you don't remember driving that distance? It's all of you there. It's not you were thinking about something else or whatever. You just arrived at point B.
Well, I might have thought, oh, I got here so fast.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
That's hypnotism. People don't really understand what hypnotism is. It's honestly not mysterious. You're fully aware of everything around you when you're hypnotized. Remember, I said if you don't wish to be hypnotized, you can't be.
Okay, okay.
If you are under hypnosis, you're not asleep. You're in a altered state, a semi-trance, and you're aware of everything that goes on around you. Now, if you gave yourself to it and allowed me to hypnotize you, and I told you, remember I said told, not ask. We don't ask in hypnotism, we tell, because we have to be in charge and take command. So if I told you to do or say something that you wouldn't normally do or say, you would have what is known as an ab-reaction. That means you would instantly come out of that little trance that you were in, because you wouldn't do or say anything that you normally wouldn't do or say.
Oh, well,
that's probably surprises you.
Well,
doesn't it?
yeah, because I was going to ask you, can you make someone fall in love with you? Can you make someone, if they want a certain job, get a certain job through hypnotism? Anything like that?
Yes and no.
Well, that you have to explain.
I'm going to
me.
explain.
Okay.
I can't make anybody fall in love with anybody, with me or anybody else. That you just can't do.
With hypnotism, you can't do it?
No. However, I've had people come to me who were students studying the law and wanting to take the bar exam. And I have helped them improve their memory of what they've learned so that they could sit down and take the bar exam and pass it.
Well, that I believe, yeah.
Now
I believe.
You see, everything that I tell you now goes into your brain, drops into your subconscious and stays there. And you have things in your subconscious that you're not aware of.
Probably.
Well,
excuse me, is hypnotism part of, or does déjà vu fit into there somehow?
Déjà vu?
Yes. Fit into that at all?
I don't see that where déjà vu would fit in. No.
Okay.
But I was going to ask you a question.
Ask me.
How much of your brain, or anybody's brain, do you think is conscious, and how much do you think is subconscious? Take a guess.
God. Well, I could say with my work during the day, I have to be right on my toes. Maybe about 10% of my brain is conscious.
You happen to be right.
Am I right?
Yes. You're not. Most people aren't using their whole brain. And I'm not saying that they're not bright or anything. It's just people only use 10 to 12% of their brain. The rest, the 80%, is subconscious. Like what I'm telling you now goes into your 10%.
Right.
And then drops down into your subconscious. You may not remember it tomorrow, but it's there. And if...
I better remember it tomorrow.
Oh, why?
That's for sure. Okay, go ahead.
The point is that I could then hypnotize you and have you recall various things. Now...
Suppose I'm afraid. Like, I'm afraid to be hypnotized because I feel like I won't come out of the trance. It might sound silly. But
well,
I've heard of people like
not,
this.
You're not alone. There are many people that feel that way.
Could that happen? Because I heard that it's happened to some people.
I've never, ever, I've done it for 20 years. As I said, nobody has ever not come out of the trance.
I heard this happen in Vegas one night. The person couldn't get the other person,
Not
the
true.
hypnotist,
Not true.
out of the trance. And it wasn't part of the act.
Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Really, because even if you were hypnotized and I didn't bring you out of it,
right,
and I left you, you would doze off a little bit and eventually wake up and be out of it. Yeah, that's not true.
Okay. Do you use the pendulum or the pencil?
You would watch.
Right.
Yes.
Do you use that?
Yes.
Which is better?
Wait.
What?
Only with children.
Why?
Children can focus on that. They have a tendency to go in different directions. So an adult, I can get to focus on what I do by talking to them. But children have a tendency to go in different directions mentally. So if I hold a little pendant in front of them and have them focus on that, and I do something else to children, I take my finger and put it on their forehead and do this. And don't ask me why, it works. I just do this and also have the little pendant, and probably takes about 30 seconds and they're out.
Is it easier working with children than adults?
Just about the
Are
same.
they more receptive?
No, it's about the same. I can work with I do it differently with adults than I do with children, but it's about the same. And we do it differently with different adults.
See, everything's hearsay, the computer and everything. When you see hypnotists, you always think of a pendulum.
I know.
I've seen candles.
You can
they
do
use
candles. All of
what
this
is it, the flame flickering back and forth?
What we do, there's a portion of your brain called the amygdala. When you're in stress, your amygdala becomes alerted. And the amygdala immediately alerts your conscious mind that there's something amiss. And
boy, excuse me, mine must have been really alerted tonight in traffic. Whoa, that part of my brain was running away. Oh my God, I just had to bring that up. Go ahead.
But anyway, that's what happens. And more or less, we hypnotists or hypnotherapists take advantage of the amygdala alerting the conscious mind, and we get it to create a path from the conscious mind to the subconscious mind. And what we do is we take the client down that path into their subconscious mind. Now, the only other time you have access to your subconscious mind is when you sleep and when you dream. That comes from your subconscious mind. You dream 3 dreams a night. The first dream...
Not everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah, but we don't recall it.
You don't,
because
I didn't say you recall 3 dreams a night. I said you dream 3 dreams a night. Now, what happens is the first dream, you don't recall it, is a dream where you
excuse me, how
toss
do we
out
know
all
that?
of it.
How do they know that
It's
that's
been proven.
validity?
No, it's been
through
proven
machinery that they put on
Yes.
Okay.
It's been proven through various methods of sleep science.
Okay, all right.
And the first dream you dream, you get rid of all the garbage that you took in that you don't need.
Oh, really?
It clears your mind out. The second dream that you dream is a wishful thinking dream, and you don't remember that at all. The third dream you dream is a REM dream. You heard of the term REM? Rapid eye movement. It's REM, R-E-M, and that's just before you awaken. And you generally dream that in 2 ways, realist and in symbols. And it's fairly easy to interpret.
But you said something about, so when you mentioned the eye movement, does the eye
Well, the
twitch
rapid
or
eye
go
movement
up
occurs.
and down without us knowing
it's like, I can't do it for you, but it's a little pulsating in your eye because it's just about before you're going to wake up. And it's
Do
called
we feel
REM.
that? I've
Pardon?
never felt that.
You don't feel it, no. It's nothing that you feel. It just happens.
Okay.
When you wake up, it's called REM, R-E-M, rapid eye movement. You're beginning to awaken,
Okay.
and your eyes begin to come to life, so to speak. And that's when you have your third dream. And if you can remember it, you dream 2 ways, realistically and symbolically. And the easiest way to interpret that dream is, they call it the Ben Franklin method. you take a piece of paper, you draw a line down the middle, and you list all of the realistic things in the dream that you can remember on one side, and all of the symbols on the other side. And then you try to figure out what the symbols meant. Now, it's easier to work with somebody else to help you figure out the symbols, but remember, they're your symbols.
But how come, this is funny. Suppose you, in your mind, like you said, put the line down and symbols here, and you do recall some symbols, but they're stupid symbols. You don't know anything about it.
But they're your symbols, stupid or not. Then you got stupid symbol.
What does that mean?
I don't know. They're your symbol.
Or I see a person, I think, oh, this person is so stupid. This person is doing something. I don't even know anyone like this. So, and I
but
think,
maybe you do. Well, maybe you did.
No, not in real life, unless my
what's real life?
Reality. I mean,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to tell you. When I studied hypnotherapy many, 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 many years ago, we were taught how to regress people to past lives. And I sat back and I said, come on, past lives. But, who knows what, blah, blah, blah. I didn't believe it. And the instructor said, if you don't believe it, that's okay. And there may not be past lives.
Excuse me, that's like reincarnation to past lives?
Yeah.
Okay.
There may not be past lives. However, if what the patient comes up with is from their imagination, it relates to something in their mind that they're thinking, that's happened, that they want to happen, that you can use to help them in whatever area they are seeking help. So I thought of it in that fashion and only in that fashion. But as time went on, little by little, I began to see that maybe there is something. Now, I read a book. I believe he was a professor or is a professor at Stanford. I'm not sure. A psychiatry professor, a major university. I think it's Stanford. It's called Many Lives, Many Masters. And he had a patient, and he wound up hypnotizing her, and she went back in time to past lives, to many past lives, one after the other. It's a very interesting book.
Wow, that I never heard of. I thought if you go into past life, you only have one past life, and you're telling me you could have a few past lives?
Well, who knows?
Meaning like...
I don't know. Nobody knows, and I don't know, certainly, and I wouldn't pretend to know.
They'd have to be over 100.
Could be.
It's amazing.
How do you know? I'll tell you one thing that happened to me. Not hypnosis, but just happened to me. Somebody, a long time ago, said, I'd like to read your tarot cards. Now, I don't believe in that stuff. I really don't.
You don't?
No.
Don't you think some people are gifted?
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't believe in it at the time.
Okay.
And they read my tarot cards.
Okay.
And I never met this person before in my life. And they told me a lot of things about me. And I said, thank you very much, and left. About 6, 7, 8 months later, I happened to be someplace else, and another person whom I never met before was going to read my tarot cards and told me the exact same thing.
I mean, were there these things, generally speaking, that could fit any other person?
No.
Or
no.
Things that were really difficult, specific?
Difficult, specific to me.
Okay.
So that kind of impressed me.
Yeah.
And then this is very interesting. At a lecture I had given, and people like to come to my lectures because I regress everybody in the room to a past life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very.
I recall this one particularly because I tell everybody that when they get to wherever they're going to go, to look at their shoes and remember the shoes that they're wearing. They're very nice. And to look at their clothes and remember the clothes that they're wearing. And I tell them that they will know, they'll just know the year. So now I hypnotized this group and regressed them all to a past life. And when it was done and everybody came back, I turned to this one man and I said, do you remember the shoes that you were wearing? And he said, yes, I was wearing sandals. And I said, and what kind of clothes? He said, I had a toga. And I said, oh, do you remember the year? And I don't remember now the year, but it was way back.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and what were you doing? He said, I was talking to a courtesan.
A courtesan?
A courtesan.
Which,
Courtesan
I've seen
is
the word. I'm trying to remember.
a genteel word for prostitute.
Oh.
But they had a different
Excuse me,
status.
what? Back in the days of what?
They had a different
Empire,
Roman
or
Empire. They had a different status.
Courtesan.
Yeah, courtesan.
Courtesan.
And a lady says, my God, like this. I said, why? She said, I was in the same year talking to a Roman senator.
Oh my goodness.
I almost fell off my chair. I mean, this
Wow.
was very unusual. I never happened.
You see, that's what I mean. That's eerie. That
Yes,
is really
that
eerie.
was eerie.
Whoa.
That, I have to admit, that was eerie. So, little by little, over the years, I've seen and heard things from people that lead me to believe that there are past lives.
Oh, I believe that.
No,
I
mine is not a faith belief. Mine is I've seen actual things where people knew things that they wouldn't ordinarily know. And I saw a demonstration of a woman who was a man in a past life, and she was a French lieutenant in the French army, a surgeon. She was a surgeon, and she spoke French, and she couldn't speak French. So, things like that
awesome.
have impressed me a great deal, and I've changed my thinking considerably.
Okay, how about you? Has
Yes,
anyone
yes.
done it to you, or
Yes.
how far did you go back?
I
What happened?
went back to, I was a sailor in the, I've forgotten now, in the British,
Oh, in the British
yeah,
Army?
British sailor, and I was 21 years old and I was shot, dead.
Just like that?
Yeah, that was it.
You didn't do anything? Just
No,
let go.
that's what came to me when I was, So, but that's what I got at the time. There were other things, I don't remember them all now, but I many times have been regressed. And when I'm with friends of mine who are also hypnotherapists, that's what we do.
Oh, that must be a good time when you get all in the groove.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And then you have
we all
your,
do one. We all
your
do
little
one of
party.
that.
I know. You have your party.
It's fun.
Oh my goodness! But what made you go into hypnotism? Because of the mystery?
No.
What excited you
I'm
about
going to tell
it?
you.
Tell me.
I'm going to tell you. You know I'm an actor.
I know you're an actor.
A very famous actress said to me, Hal, I know you're doing fairly well, but you should have plan B. Now, I don't want to tell you who she was because it wouldn't be fair. She had suffered with stage fright that came about her all of a sudden that she never had before, and she was a stage actress.
Mm-hmm.
And she also acquired a fear of flying. And I'll explain to you about fears in a
Okay.
minute. And she went to a particular school which had a clinic,
Right.
and they cured her of the stage fright and of the fear of flying. She wound
Okay.
up marrying the owner of the school. They were married for 18, 19 years. And we used to double date. I went out with the daughter of the owner of the school, and they were working on me and trying to convince me and persuade me to become a hypnotherapist. And I thought, maybe they're right, that I need a plan B. And so I took a test to see how qualified I would be to be a hypnotherapist.
What type of test could you take for
they have a test with, I don't remember now, remember it's over 20 years ago, but the test that
to see whether you would pass.
whether you're you had an acumen, or you could be a hypnotherapist. I don't know what else to say. And they said you passed with flying colors, that you would be wonderful. So I went and I studied. Now, what I don't like about hypnotherapy is the school is 1 year. They pat you on the shoulder and say you're certified.
And out you go into the world.
Yeah. And I don't like that. I think there's much more to it. You're dealing with people's minds,
Mm-hmm.
and So I studied quite a bit more.
Okay, excuse me. We only have a few minutes, so I want to tell a little bit about your acting for a couple of minutes too, okay?
Okay, sure.
There's always a lot to talk about, I know, so we get in and we get so involved all
Okay,
the time.
okay. I could go on and on about
I know,
hypnotherapy.
I know.
Acting, I started when I was 15 years old. I was on a Broadway show. I attended the Actors Studio in New York. I went to the New School, at that time called the New School of Social Research, where I studied acting, and then I taught acting in a small school at Carnegie Hall. My first Broadway job was my sister Eileen on Broadway. I toured.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
I toured in a number of shows.
Yeah. Tell me about the movie, though.
I'm coming to
the movie. Okay.
I'm coming to
I don't
it.
want to miss that because
I'll
we're
get
coming
to it.
close
All right.
to the end.
I have done a myriad of TV shows. My picture was in TV Guide, and I was just
3 minutes.
I was just cast in the leading role in a film. The working title is called Brennan Manning, and if you Google Brennan Manning, you'll find out who he is or was. He died 2 years ago. He was a wonderful, wonderful man. He was a Franciscan priest.
Is that Brennan, Brennan?
Yes. And he was a Franciscan priest. He met a very beautiful woman like you and fell in love and gave up the priesthood to marry her.
For her?
And he became an itinerant preacher.
Wow.
And he was a very wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. He also happened to be an alcoholic. But that notwithstanding, he was a fantastic individual. And the book that he wrote, or books he wrote, are many, but the one that, his latest one before he died, was called The Ragamuffin Gospel.
Okay, so you're Brennan.
I'm Brennan.
What a joy, and I applaud you. I congratulate you. I think it's wonderful. Did you start working on it yet?
No, we're starting shooting August 1st.
Okay.
Los Angeles, San Diego, New Orleans.
How great that is.
I'll
Is
take
this
you
your
with me.
first leading role? Is this your first leading role?
My first leading role in a film, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've had leading roles on stage
Right.
in the past, but I haven't done stage work in a long, long,
So
long
would you
time.
prefer the stage or film?
I prefer the stage, but I do films.
The stage, do you feel this, people say they prefer the stage because you connect with the people closer. You can feel the people there right in the audience, and that is such a joy. That makes you do your best performance.
I'm not necessary. You're saying exactly what I feel.
Oh, really?
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. You get a connection with the audience. You feel the energy from the audience.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing like
That
it.
makes you go and go and go and go.
I did what is known as a staged reading about 2 months ago. The writer was a man named Tom Patchett, very famous TV writer. He created and wrote Alf. He used to write the Bob Newhart Show. He quit writing for television, decided he wanted to open an art gallery and write plays. Am I done?
Almost. This has been wonderful, very interesting, and I hope you'll come back another
anytime.
time too. Okay?
You can have me anytime you want.
I could have you anytime. Okay, hypnotize me. Okay, Channel 36. Well, we gave you a good show, and I hope you come back and join us again. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, Raul. Thank you, Yvette, and thank you, Hal.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.